Don't fix the part, fix the pattern. We often pride ourselves on being logical problem solvers. Something breaks, we find the broken part, and we fix it. Sales are down, let's push the sales team harder or launch a promotion. Employee morale is low, let's organize a team-building event. This approach, which we might call linear or event-oriented thinking, is our default mode. It's intuitive because it follows a simple narrative of cause and effect. However, in our complex, interconnected world, especially in business, this method consistently fails us. It leads to solving the same problems over and over again, to temporary fixes that create bigger issues down the line, and to a perpetual state of firefighting. The reason for this failure is that we are treating symptoms, not the underlying disease. We are looking at parts in isolation, blind to the larger whole. To break this cycle, we need a fundamental shift in perspective. We need to adopt systems thinking. Systems thinking is the discipline of seeing wholes. It is a framework for recognizing patterns, for understanding the interrelationships between elements rather than just the elements themselves, and for discerning the underlying structures that drive behavior over time. A system isn't just a collection of things. It is an interconnected set of elements that is coherently organized in a way that achieves a function or purpose. Your body is a system. A forest is a system. A company, a team, a supply chain, these are all systems. The core insight is that the behavior of a system arises from the interaction of its parts, not from the parts acting in isolation. This leads us to the most fascinating and powerful concept in systems thinking: emergence. Emergent properties are characteristics of the whole that you cannot find in any of the individual components. Think of a flock of birds. The intricate, flowing pattern of the flock, its ability to move as a cohesive, intelligent unit, is not a property of any single bird. No bird is the leader. The pattern emerges from the simple, local rules each bird follows relative to its neighbors. In an organization, culture is an emergent property. You cannot point to a single employee or a rule in the handbook and say, "Here is our culture." Culture emerges from the countless daily interactions, the shared stories, the formal and informal reward systems, the way decisions are made and communicated. It is a property of the system as a whole. When we ignore this systemic nature and focus on parts, we fall into traps. The most common trap is confusing correlation with causation in a complex web of feedback. In a system, everything is connected through feedback loops, circular chains of cause and effect, where an output circles back to influence its own input. There are two primary types. Reinforcing feedback loops amplify whatever is happening. They are engines of growth or collapse. More sales lead to more revenue for marketing, which generates more leads and more sales, a virtuous cycle. Conversely, a drop in product quality leads to customer complaints and negative reviews, which damage the brand, leading to lower sales and pressure to cut costs, often further reducing quality, a vicious cycle. The second type is balancing feedback loops. These are goal-seeking, stabilizing mechanisms. They counteract change. A thermostat is a classic example. It acts to bring the room temperature back to a set point. In a business, a quality control department is a balancing loop, working to correct deviations from a standard. The constant dance between reinforcing and balancing loops is what creates the dynamic behavior of any system. Most problems arise when a balancing loop is too weak or has a delayed response, allowing a reinforcing loop to run unchecked. And that brings us to the second critical element that fools linear thinking: delay. There is almost always a time lag between an action and its visible consequence in a system. This delay is what makes management so counterintuitive. You might cut investment in employee training to boost quarterly profits. The immediate effect is positive. Costs are down. The real consequence, a gradual decline in innovation, skill, and morale, may only become apparent a year or two later, long after the decision was made. By then, the person who made the cut might be rewarded for their good results and promoted, while their successor inherits a crumbling team. The delay breaks the simple mental link between cause and effect, leading us to learn the wrong lessons. We attribute success to the last visible action before a positive outcome, and we often blame the last visible action before a failure, even if the true cause was set in motion much earlier. So, how do we practice this? It begins with a shift from assigning blame to mapping structure. When a chronic problem appears, instead of asking who messed up, ask what in the design of this team, process, or incentive structure is causing this to happen repeatedly. You start to draw maps of influence, not org charts. You trace the flows of information, materials, and decisions. You look for the leverage points. A leverage point is a place in the system where a small, well-placed intervention can produce significant, lasting change. The frustrating truth is that high leverage points are often not obvious. They are rarely where the problem is most visible. The classic example is the fixes that fail archetype. A department is missing deadlines. The linear solution is to add more people or demand overtime, a symptomatic fix. The systemic solution is to look upstream. Perhaps the deadlines are unrealistic because sales, eager to close deals, are promising impossible delivery times. The high leverage point isn't in the production department. It's in the sales process and the interdepartmental agreement on feasible timelines. Changing a simple rule of engagement, like requiring a feasibility check before a promise is made, can eliminate the chronic deadline problem altogether. This is the essence of fixing the pattern, not the part. Ultimately, systems thinking transforms your role from a reactive problem solver to a proactive designer. You stop being the hero who jumps in to save the day and start being the architect who designs an environment where problems are less likely to occur in the first place. You begin to see your organization not as a machine with broken cogs to replace, but as a garden. You cannot command a plant to grow faster by pulling on its leaves, but you can understand and influence the system, the quality of the soil, the amount of sunlight and water, the ecosystem around it. You create the conditions for healthy growth. This mindset fosters patience because you understand delays, humility because you see how your own actions are part of larger loops, and much greater effectiveness because you stop wasting energy on superficial fixes and start making intelligent interventions that actually make the system work better for the long term. It is the difference between seeing a world of disconnected events and seeing a world of ongoing, interconnected processes.